Organelles. In this video, scientists will be able to comprehend cell organelles by visualizing and taking notes on the parts of the cell. So what are organelles? Well, organelles are the tiny structures that perform functions within the cell. Another way to say that is that organelles are the tiny parts that do jobs within the cell. In this video, we're going to cover animal cell organelles. That includes the cell membrane, the nucleus, the cytoplasm, mitochondria, vacuoles, and lysosomes. Now, spoiler alert. Animal cells and plant cells mostly have the same organelles, but there are a few differences. Again, most organelles are the same for both plants and animals. Let's get into it. The first organelle is a cell membrane. It's a flexible membrane that holds all the parts of the cell. Imagine it like a bag that holds all the bits inside the cell. The cell membrane also separates the inside and the outside of the cell. And finally, its most important job is to control what comes in and out of the cell. Anything that the cell needs, it has to pass through the cell membrane. And if the cell wants to get rid of anything, it has to get rid of it out of the cell membrane. Next is the nucleus. The nucleus is kind of the control center. Its job is to direct all of the activities of the cells by giving orders to the other organelles. So the nucleus sends out directions to all the other organelles to tell them what jobs to perform. In addition, the nucleus contains all the DNA of the cell, and we'll learn much more about DNA later in the year. Finally, it's important to note that each cell only has one nucleus. Oftentimes, cells have many of the other organelles, but they only have one nucleus. Next up is the cytoplasm. If the cell membrane is like a bag, well then the cytoplasm is like the filling. If you've ever had a fruit cup, you can think of the cytoplasm as the jello that holds all the little bits. In fact, the cytoplasm is kind of jello-like, and it's a fluid that fills the cell. The cytoplasm also flows around and carries the parts of the cell. So just like a fruit cup has bits of fruit in the jello, a cell has organelles that are stuck in the cytoplasm. Next are the mitochondria. These organelles are the powerhouses of the cell. And what they do is they convert energy in food and turn it into energy that cells can use. Now, cells require something called ATP. It's a fancy name for a chemical that stores energy. And cells can't use food directly. Instead, the mitochondria has to take the energy from the food and convert it into energy that the cell can use. Now, it's really important to know that every organelle requires energy. So the mitochondria has the really important job of creating ATP so that all the other organelles can do their jobs. Next up is a vacuole. A vacuole is a small sac within the cytoplasm. Just like the cell membrane, it is a membrane-bound sac, and it can contain any number of things. Vacuoles can hold food, or water, or other important substances. Vacuoles can also move things into the cell, out of the cell, and around the cell. They have lots of different uses. Again, the big idea here is that vacuoles can store things and then move around the cell to where they're needed. One important thing to keep in mind is that vacuoles in animal cells are very small. Next are lysosomes. Lysosomes are organelles that are filled with chemicals, and those chemicals break down and recycle materials. So any waste that the cell makes is recycled within the lysosome. Specifically, they use chemicals called enzymes to break apart molecules, and that allows the cell to reuse those bits to make new things. Lysosomes, however, are only found in animal cells. You would not find a lysosome in a plant cell. So here's your key ideas. Organelles are part of a cell. They each have different functions or jobs, and each organelle has its own job.